You're listening to LA40 with Katerina Cozias, only on LA Talk Radio.
All right, I love Thursday mornings because Thursday mornings means I get to be here with you. Good morning, everyone. I'm Katerina Cozias, your host here at LA Talk Radio. We are live, and we are streaming on latalkradio.com and, of course, Facebook Live, because where would we be without Facebook these days, right? I am here getting ready for what is going to be a really great episode, because I am joined today by Vanessa Petronelli, sitting right here to my left. Good morning, Vanessa.
Good morning.
Thank you for being here with us.
Thank you for having me. It's so wonderful to be here with all of you.
Well, you know what I love is this is two Canadians sitting in LA right now, so cheers to that.
Yay, Canada.
So if you're not familiar with Vanessa, I'm super excited to help introduce her to you, because she is somebody who is playing right now in the fifth dimension, maybe higher, in terms of the way humanity is evolving, what we're tapping into, what we're coming to recognize as being a world that is not just necessarily physical. Mm-hmm. You are a spiritual teacher. You are also a mentor, somebody that's raising the planet's vibration, and you also channel.
Yes.
So we're talking Esther Hicks style for anyone out there that you know feels that spirituality. Talk to me a little bit, Vanessa, about we hear this buzzword alignment, right? How do you get into alignment? How do you get on purpose? How do you be your mission? But what is alignment?
I love this question. And I mean, the name of my business is Soul Aligned Success. There you go. So right. I've been teaching alignment work for quite some time, even before it was, in my world, a buzzword. So I get it. You know, for me, alignment is really about being aligned to your most true, authentic self. And I look at that as really not having your mind be the one in charge, or just leading with the physical body or your physical realm being in charge. Alignment's not even about your job or what you do. It's about being aligned to mind, body, soul, and spirit. And leading with, the divine plan, the divine essence within you.
Now, that's my question. Is there a divine plan? Because I get this question a lot, how much of us are, how much are we in control versus how much is destiny in control of us? So is there a destiny out there? Are we destined to do and be, or do we have a choice as we move through this thing we call the human experience?
I get that asked often as well, and I think it's a bit of both. I mean, as human beings, we have free will, but I do believe that we come here with a unique plan and purpose, that it's not about our, so many people get this confused. They think that their purpose is what they do for their work. Really, it's moment to moment, you tapping into the fullest expression of who you are. And leading from that, when you are in alignment, when you are in your divine plan, it feels right, it feels true, and nothing can break truth.
Now, why are most people broken from truth, though? Because most people are walking around not feeling that alignment, not glowing, So what happens where, so many people are walking around missing that truth?
We don't have enough time to get into this whole story, but I love talking about this. And it's a great point. Yeah. So many people are, because I really, truly believe that most people have not been taught or conditioned about who they are. Yeah. We've been so externally focused, in the world. I mean, when we are children, we're taught from an early age, what do you want to be when you grow up? Right. Make money, be achievement oriented, accomplish things. And so our focus from a very early age goes out here as to what we define or look at as our reality versus looking in here and really saying, who am I? Who am I here to be? What is my expression? What are my gifts? So adults tend to have this conversation through especially their spiritual awakenings to discover that.
Now, a spiritual awakening happens how? Because some people are a little more conscious and some people aren't yet. Yeah. So is it like you get hit by a lightning bolt one day, or you just, you wake up and think, I've had it and I've got to look for some, some guidance from a guru? Explain spiritual awakening a little bit for me.
Yeah. It's a very individual experience. From all of the clients that I've worked with all over the world, there is a commonality in usually something is the catalyst that their world starts to dissolve or crumble. a big loss, a divorce, nothing's working out in their lives. All of a sudden, all the things that used to work for them suddenly don't. There is a health crisis, an illness, somebody passes away. So something out here almost becomes cataclysmic enough for the focus to go in here.
Right. So if someone's wanting to focus internally, and this is a little bit early in the episode to get here, but I'd like to give some tools along the way. What are some things that can get people started to look inwards, to start to listen to what that truth for them might be?
Well, I mean, the fastest vehicle from what I've discovered and tool that I believe that we've been given is just simply focusing on the breath and meditation and slowing down. Slow down to speed up. My husband and I always talk about this.
I got a signal from the universe, if you will, the other day. I was backing up my car, and I went crunch into one of those cylinder poles in a parking lot. And I thought, and I have a thing against reverse anyway. So here I am, I reversed, but I had a buddy of mine, and he pointed out, and he said, that's the universe's way of telling you to slow down.
Yeah.
Slow down. And I thought, wow. I had to crunch my poor car, but
I mean, the universe will find really unique ways to make us slow down, to make us turn inward. But you don't have to get to those points. You can be very deliberate, focused, and attention toward the breath even.
Talk to me about breath. So what do you mean?
So a lot of people, I taught yoga for many years, by the way, and I teach meditation as well. And most people are not breathing correctly.
So not only do we not know how to find our truth, we don't even know how to breathe.
My goodness, I know. A lot of retraining. So when we are breathing, we want to make sure that on our inhales, the belly is relaxed and full. You can picture Buddha, when you see the Buddha belly, it's like you're creating a Buddha belly. And when you're breathing, you want to almost imagine that you're breathing. The diaphragm, from when I was teaching yoga, it starts from the soles of your feet and goes all the way up to the roof of your mouth. And you almost want to imagine that the breath is traveling all the way up through the body, filling your belly up on the inhale, the chest, the lungs, the diaphragm, and then on the exhale, you're slowly releasing all of that energy, all of that air out. And if you can do, I usually teach this in some of my workshops, 25 to even 30 deep breaths a day.
Wow.
That, just sitting and doing that.
I don't think I've ever done 30 deep breaths a day. But maybe at night. Not
but this is like a focused, deliberate practice that may significantly reduce some of the anxiousness or the mental chatter or, moving through life really at a fast and quick pace, which we're totally trained to do in our society.
And I was going to say, from the way society is moving, it doesn't look like that's going to slow down anytime soon.
No.
Right? So I want to go back to mission and purpose for a moment. You get a little child, he gets born, he goes out into the world tells him, hey, you're pretty smart in math, maybe you should become an engineer. So he becomes an engineer, but he's had this feeling, this calling, this want to do and be more. What is your advice for people that may be feeling that need in themselves right now?
Well, honor it. First things first, before you can act or do anything or start, because immediately the mind's going to go, well, how do I start to do these things and honor it? Well, first things first, slow down, right? And
check
honor
your reverse mirror.
Honor it within yourself. And the more that you can sit with yourself in stillness and be with your breath, journal, reflect, take the time to have you time, self-care time, you can start to have a little bit more of the awareness on what potentially might be the next step. And I'm such an advocate. I don't know how you feel about this, Katerina, but I'm such an advocate about having a guide, a mentor, a coach, somebody to work with you to help you through this process, because we have our own blind spots, especially if you've been doing something for so long and in a certain way, you're used to life being that way. So to do something different all of a sudden can be a real shock to the system.
Well, it was Einstein that said you can't change your reality if you keep doing the same things you're currently doing in your reality, something like that. I'm paraphrasing, but that's exactly true. So sometimes it's nice to have people come in from an outside source and catch some of that you might be walking around totally oblivious to, because that's been your normal.
Exactly,
right?
Exactly. And we also have to be trained in trust and faith. Which is something that is just really difficult because we think we are in control of everything.
how much are we not in control? So go back to that for a minute, trust and faith, because it's easy to say, oh, I trust that I'm divinely supported. And you can do that if you've got a bunch of cash in the bank. But if you're sitting there looking at how do I pay my mortgage, how do I pay my kids' tuition, how do I pay my car insurance on a car that I can't afford, and you're in that stressful place, how do you allow trust and faith to come in there?
And it's a wonderful, wonderful question, because I see this happening over and over again. No matter how successful somebody is or how much money they have, it's not something that one person is not experiencing. We all experience lack and waves of it all the time. And I really feel like the trust and the faith piece comes from our relationship to spirit, to God, universe, life, creator, the great one, whatever you define or label that as. The more that you anchor and rebuild this connection that's never gone away. It's always been there. It's always been steady. It's just we've strayed as human beings away from that. You start to learn that even money, which is not, our everything, which is not our source of security, it's the illusion that we've all bought into. It's really about anchoring into spirit and ourselves to know that we have an abundance of resources and everything that we need to thrive. It's just our mentality. It's just what we've been trained. It's just what we continue to buy into and think about and speak about.
Well, and the beauty of working with somebody like you is you can bring awareness to that and allow people to build their own connection with that. Yeah. I have, radically changed my lifestyle. Going back, I used to live in Miami, so it was party place, and we used to be out late, and I used to sleep in, and it was like a very hustle bustle. And when I moved out to the West Coast, I thought, okay, that was great for that chapter. This is now this chapter. And part of what I did, and again, I don't know if I was feeling it because it was West Coast woo woo. It might have been. It might have been just ready for my spiritual growth. But I really did a lifestyle shift, and I committed to self to getting up early. Which I love because my energy rhythms are actually morning rhythms anyway. But I take the time to meditate. I take the time to do a little journaling or reading, one or the other. And then I live 5 minutes from the beach, so I go to the water every morning. I anchor in that magic and that beauty. Yeah. And by the time I get home and I take my shower and I start my day, I'm feeling ready for the day and I'm excited about the day versus some friends that I look at that just scramble into it and they're tripping over themselves and wondering why things aren't moving.
Yeah, and that's a very common thing in our culture. What you do in the first, I would say, 5-10 minutes of your day really anchors in how you're going to show up the rest of the day. It's about really being intentional with our lives. Very, as I said, like a deliberate focus on where we're putting our energy, where we're putting our time. And I love this because I'm a huge advocate and I encourage everybody that I work with to develop, self-care or spiritual routines and rituals on a daily basis. Start your morning off connecting to yourself, connecting to spirit, connecting to the earth. Find that. And then imagine with that intention how you're going to go about your day. You're going to be way less frenzied and chaotic. And there's so many studies now that talk about, when you check your social media or the news first thing in the morning, it creates so much wonky energy. And,
you haven't even decided what your energy is going to be.
Yeah, the world's telling you.
All of that. And the thing that I find interesting too is, as you move into a place of self-care, I actually look at it as soul care. Because when you're giving to yourself, you're actually expanding. When you're expanding, you're actually allowing yourself to receive. Yes. When you're receiving, things actually start to move, and it can be grace and ease and flow. But we've been sold this lie that it needs to be struggle, it needs to be hard, we need to be stressed, we need to be anxious. Yes. And so I agree with you on that. Tell me how you fell into this line of work.
Oh, geez. It's been a lifelong journey. I mean, I grew up intuitive and very connected to spirit and the cosmos, so to speak. I heard the voice of God at 14, went into the entertainment industry, spent many years in that, but also felt this mission within myself from a very young age to help people, to help humanity in a big way. And, went into that industry, started to get into personal and spiritual development, really began to awaken, went through one of my first awakenings around 18, 19, and then it just kept happening. And then I started my healing, my channeling, my intuitive coaching work, spiritual work, 10 years ago.
Explain an awakening to me.
So for my awakenings were really about, again, questioning reality and things happening in my reality that totally threw me right out of my alignment.
Okay.
So when I was in the entertainment industry, I started to see all of these jobs and roles and things I was doing suddenly start to dissolve, or something would happen. And, you know, it was a bizarre situation. And I would think to myself, what's happening? All of a sudden I had all these things that were going so well, and now it feels like they're being stripped away from me.
They probably were, so that
Exactly.
you could wake up.
Exactly. Because, you know, I've always felt like I've always kind of been, I describe it as like on a tight leash with spirit, where I can wander a little bit with
But then
my
it's
free
like,
will,
wait,
but it's
wait,
like,
wait.
where are you going, girl? Come back here. So, you know, my awakenings have been definitely around, you know, things going on outside of me that bring my intention inward, and also questioning reality and feeling this responsibility to my mission.
So part of your mission is to help share this awareness with people. But I want to ask you, because some people, again, are quite into this world, some people aren't.
Right.
When we talk channeling, do you have people thinking you're crazy? Do you have people thinking that's BS? You know, or are you really, you know, just talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, that's a great question. And I mean, I'm sure absolutely to all of the above. I mean, and I think people should be discerning with channels. I do believe that, because you don't know who's channeling what. And, you know, you have to have a level of trust with the person who's bringing guidance from these beings or these energies through.
So you got it through you at what age? What age did you first start? Well, you said 14 with God.
Yeah, that was like a clairaudient channel. So I wasn't actually in a trance medium channel. That started over the last few years. Conscious channeling was what I was basically doing with most of my clients, and a lot of my intuitive or psychic centers have been turned on. So I could see things and feel things. My hands, you know, would vibrate at a frequency, and I could see what was going on in somebody's lives. And then I would channel through their higher selves or the guidance that they needed to hear, but I would be there. It would be, Vanessa, you would know that you were connecting with me.
Okay.
The channeling in trance work is a little different. So I love that you brought up Abraham Hicks. That's a great example. Another great example is Paul Selig, who channeled all the texts with his guides, I am the word, and so on.
My friend Sarah Landon channels the council. I'm not sure if you're familiar
I have
with Sarah,
heard,
but she's excellent. Yeah.
So there's, I mean, this is not a new thing, but the trance medium work is basically I'm pushed to the back, so to speak, or the back of the car, and then my Palladian guides, who I work with, are the ones that are in the front and delivering these channeled messages that are of love, that are of truth, that are of helping each of us to evolve and ascend to new levels, and they're about really helping us to move beyond the limitations and the fears.
Part of the thing that comes in when we talk about fear is, you know, the headspace has taken over. And I was giving a speech the other day, and I was talking about how, you know, the mistake that we've made as human beings is we've disconnected from the soul communication, and we've allowed it all to be cerebral.
Yes.
But the mind is actually, in my opinion, supposed to be a servant of the soul. Lead with the soul, lead with the heart, and let the mind assist you in getting to where you want to be, versus shutting this part off and getting into the fear and the anxiety of how am I supposed to make it happen, regardless of what you're trying to make happen.
I agree.
Yeah, right?
I agree, sister. Yes, yes.
So if you had some advice to give to people in terms of helping them to gain more clarity around how they can align with self and their truth, what would you tell them?
I mean, first things first is exactly what I said earlier. Slow down and connect with yourself. Make time every day, even if it's 5, 10 minutes, 30 minutes, to devote to you being with you. And when I say time for yourself, I'm not meaning put the television screen on, Netflix and chill, or you're
Pick up your
scrolling, you know, all that is put away. You know, I always advise people create a sacred space that you can sit with that trains your brain and your being to know, oh, this is where I come to just be with myself. And to start asking yourself questions, powerful questions, you know, am I fulfilled? You know, map out different areas of your life. You know, how am I feeling in this moment? You know, what brings joy to my life? I mean, and so on and so on. But it's getting curious about yourself.
and getting curious about yourself as we head into 2019. This might be a fun exercise for you to do at home, which is exactly that, right? Write a list of, and I usually do this twice a year, but I definitely do it in December, January, and I usually do it with some eggnog and a fireplace and some cuddly clothes. But anyway, and I basically chunk out different categories. So love and relationships, wealth and success, business, health, all of that, spirituality, and instead of writing down my goals, I actually write down the feelings that I want to have under that particular bucket.
The desire. I always like that word desire. I don't look at goals because goals is very mental.
Right. We're trying to get rid of the mental. There's too much mental.
Yeah. And the desire is feeling based, right? Because you can have a goal, you can meet a goal, but if you don't feel good when you are experiencing or achieving that goal, then what's the use of going after that goal? You've worked so hard or whatever you've done to get there, and then you feel kind of yucky. Yeah. That's not alignment.
So you have programs, you've worked with, a lot of leaders in your space. Tell us a little bit about how people can work with you if they'd want to.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, next weekend I have an event here in Hollywood, and it's also available on virtual live stream. And it is a channeling event. It's
so
my
you'll
signature
be channeling
event.
Live?
I will be channeling live. It's called Evenings with B, a night of channeling and guidance. Okay. And it's one of those things you have to experience. There's healing, there's activation, there's transmissions, there's Q&A for both the people who are in the audience and on virtual live stream. And then from, a private, my private programs, I also work one-to-one with people, and I have a group program as well, which I'll be launching again next year. So I have a lot of things coming up. It's exciting, but if you are available next weekend, it would be great to have you and the listeners and viewers there.
If you're here in LA, definitely jump onto Vanessa's site. Your site is
VanessaPetronelli.com.
VanessaPetronelli.com. You can see that if you're watching how to spell her last name. But Vanessa, okay, I want to take it back one more notch.
Yes, absolutely.
Are you content with your life?
Yes. I can, without a shadow of a doubt, say yes. Yes. I feel fulfilled.
Because you found your truth?
My truth. I'm aligned to my divine plan, and I know it.
How difficult was it for you to align to that plan? Because you were in Hollywood, you were in entertainment, and then you're getting this spirituality kind of knocking you on the head. It
has not been all, butterflies and rainbows. Yeah. I mean, I've really done, a tremendous amount of self-work and spiritual growth. I didn't just fall into it. It wasn't just like life was laid out with this golden path. I mean, I've really had to work to get here, but I would say that the number one thing for me has been staying true to myself. Ever since I was a little girl, I stayed true to myself. I stayed true to the plan and the vision that I had, and my knowing of who I am and who I'm here to be. And yeah, I got knocked off a few times here and there, as we all do, but it's what we do. Right. And I kept getting back up and getting realigned and rededicating myself to this path.
And the path takes commitment, and the path also takes some intention. But when you think about how differently your life can be versus how it might be, or, I really believe we have the ability to script our own lives. And the thought of that gets me very excited.
Yes, we're creators.
We absolutely are. And it's like, how do you want to feel? What do you want to see? And with the vibrational field, and it ends up being quantum physics. Like, there is scientific proof for any of you that don't play in the woo-woo space, that matter and energy, all of it vibrates, and it moves towards or sometimes away from, depending. Yes. But I believe that when you can find some stillness and get truthful with yourself, and you make some changes to move you in the direction that feels the most correct, then things will just automatically start to flow. Yes. Like, I'm a huge believer in that. I've seen evidence of it many times.
Me too. Yeah. I would agree with you on that. We don't have to try so hard all the time. We just, I think if the focus is being and staying in alignment and integrity with yourself and your truth, things will start to unfold.
And I have a tough time with that, because I always, as a high achiever, as a performer, I always want to go back into the mental space of like, keep it going, go, go, go. And then I catch myself in a frenzy, crash my car, and then I go, oh, okay. But it's nice to also allow yourself to be supported. So I'm allowing support to come into my world lately, and what that has done for me, what it's doing for me, is it's allowing me to exhale. So back to where we started with the breath, right?
Yes.
I'm not used to it, but it's been nice.
It is.
Yeah.
It really is. I mean, we have everything that we need within ourselves.
Mm-hmm. We absolutely do. Vanessa, thank you so much for being here with us
so
today.
Welcome. Thank you so
fun.
much. That was really fun. And thank you, everybody, for watching and listening.
Follow Vanessa on all of her social media if you're not already. I'm assuming it's all your name.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty, it's a long name, but it's pretty simple.
When you have names like Vanessa Petronelli or Katerina Cozias, it's pretty easy to have the same social media handle all over the place.
There's not a lot of us out there.
There's not James Smith original, the 14th. So, Vanessa, it's so lovely to have you. Thank you for sharing some of your wisdom with us.
Oh, of course. My pleasure. Anytime, guys.
All right. And we will see you back here next Thursday for another edition of LA40 with me, Katerina. We have another great guest coming up next week. Don't miss it. We go, into some cool things that are a little bit out of the norm with respect to your 9 to 5. Not that there's anything wrong with a 9 to 5, but if you can catch us in between, always do that. 11 o'clock Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. We'll see you next week.
You're listening to LA40 with Katerina Cozias, only on LA Talk Radio.